Hello, hello. Trying something different tonight. We're trying something different tonight. Gonna wait a few minutes. Let some other people trickle in. All right. All right, people are popping in. I am trying out the new rig. All right, I can see the chat. Looks like everything's in focus. I'm going to start drawing on telling the story of Armada Optimus tonight. You know, I almost bought Override this weekend. It was on sale at Walmart. I couldn't pull the trigger on it. I really should have. It was a pretty good price. How's everybody doing? I'm using my son's better phone today, which is hilarious, to film this. I tried to film it with my Samsung, and well, it's old and didn't work as well as his iPhone here. So I am using his iPhone. How is everyone doing? Transformers 2002. Diego. Is that how you say that? Diego? Apologize. Figured I'd try something different tonight. Do a little live draw when I talk about this character. I don't have the toy of Super Optimus here, so I figured it would be as fun to draw while I talked about it. Let's see how that goes, and see if I can remember how to draw this guy. It'll be a bit of interpretive dance. All right. I'll spare everybody my... Okay, cool. Spare everybody my blue line. Get right into this. How's it going, Ninjatron? So we got 15 people here already. That's great. We are Toy Armada here, Friday Night Hang. I'm going to tell the story of Armada Optimus a little bit, answer questions about that for a little bit, and then, you know, our normal Q&A and whatnot. But I figured it'd be fun to do a little bit of a live draw. Again, I don't have this product anymore, so not as fun to talk about a toy without the toy in front of you. So gonna try this. Hope everybody had a good week. I had a pretty good week. I was doing a lot of work around. Got to draw something. Star screen we started with here tonight. That is a commission that's going out tomorrow. So all right. So Armada Optimus really has his start with the fact that we were going to bring back the classics. So Optimus Prime was coming back in Armada. And with that, Takara had started with car robots, the Super Optimus concept again, which again is a very classic Japanese style level up concept. I don't pretend to know a lot about anime and all that, how it goes, but we all understand the power up nature of some robot series. So this is the first time that Transformers kind of got that treatment on Optimus, where he's got a base form and then kind of get the super mode. So we knew Optimus was coming back. Takara had this model that was devoid of a character at the time, that when you activated and manipulated a smaller robot, you kind of activated this other base form, and it moved independently, and then they combined. So it was kind of a model. I think it was an inventor came to them. It had already been in the market in some other format or something, or maybe it was just a pretty nice model. I don't recall, but it was the kind of magic that we really were looking for to bring that toy to life. The just again coming out with just, oh, Transformers, they're back. You know, that wasn't enough. It really needed to be something a little more special, a little more unique, and so that kind of had it. It became this giant super robot and had this compelling mechanical feature. I'm curious to know how well that feature worked, if some of you had that product. Yeah, Power Master, I guess, could have been would have been the first. You're right, absolutely. Again, I don't try to be a robot expert, so sometimes I need you guys to keep me straight. So I will get stuff like that messed up, because I only know what I participated in, really, and did my homework on. But anyway, so so this was adopted pretty quick. The idea that Optimus would take this model and turn it into the Optimus. So we pretty early knew there would be this whole super mode. Did not design any of that till I got to Japan in that summer of 01. Pretty much all of that was done that summer. Whereas some of the Demolisher and Cyclonus and Hotshot was done a little bit prior to me getting out there from a model form, like kind of starting, like we'd at least knew these characters. We really didn't do too much on Optimus right away. I think they were doing costing or something that whole time. Yeah, see, Transformers, T-Formers 2002, you're absolutely right. That's one of the beautiful things about Transformers is, my gosh, it's got a convoluted set of inroads into the franchise. I would hesitate to ever say continuity, because that's a dangerous word. But yeah, if you miss whole series, you might miss whole ways these guys are portrayed. You're absolutely right. So thanks for that. Well, that's what we featured heavily on Ninjatron. You're right. The that car robots Optimus was really a big influence. Um, you guys are seeing how I carve my images out. So yeah, that was a big influence too. I shouldn't have forgot that one. Hey, Cheesy here, how are you doing? So, what was cool about doing Armada Optimus, which we really haven't done as often, is I lived in that Beast Wars era, right, where Optimus came in Optimus Primal came in a few different sizes, um, Mega and the leaders and stuff. So I came from that idea that you could maybe have these main characters multiple ways, and that's how we ended up with Bendy Prime, right? Because to me, that wasn't unusual. Um, so it was nice to be able to get a nice articulated Optimus as well as the featured big toy, which has its complications, right? Because you got to manipulate that cab in order to get the feature to work, which puts a lot of mechanics into the cab, which, you know, compromises its posability, its articulation, um, you know. So I was trying to overcome that definitely with Bendy Prime. That was a great opportunity to do that character in a different format, which obviously sold really well and people really liked, and kind of memorable in that way because it was one of the few times we did Optimus in a lower price point in the main show, in that regard. And just to my knowledge, that mold is done. They made enough product over the years that there's not much more coming out of that one. I was really into Gundam, so yeah, I put the little chin thing in there. Didn't realize how big a deal that might have been, but not when I say really into Gundam too. It was just everywhere over there. It was just so affordable and interesting, and everything was up to date. You know, there's a real, as you guys all know, there's a real delay in model kits and things, unless you got a good Asian distributor connection in your city. If you live in LA or New York or Toronto or, you know, Montreal, maybe you have a Seattle, a different set of options, but most of us are waiting around, and that whatever shows up, and so it was really hit and miss. And to go over to Japan and be able to literally see everything modern and new and shiny and really cool. So I was buying a lot of books on Gundam and model kits that were very affordable. So that was fun. Yes, I am left-handed, and my son is left-handed too, which is kind of strange, but it is what it is. Guess it runs that way. So Optimus was obviously always going to be featured in the commercial too, and I was the toy tech on that commercial. I had to go and make sure this thing operated under the hot lights, which was not fun with the nature of the IR receiver and getting that thing to work under the lights and not be tripped up. Was tricky. Tricky is my word for pain in the ass, probably, but so the technology worked pretty well. Didn't bother me any, I guess. But the compromising of the articulation was a problem, I think, with the super robot version of Optimus. So again, that's what made Bendy Prime so called so important, I guess. And that did become a good redeco. That thing was used up several different ways across the years. Different Optimus, Mom. Yeah, right. Well, you guys just hit on the nature of why we did so many multicolored Batman figures back in the day, because once you can't tell your grandmother or mother that you want the new Batman toy, and she goes to the store and they're all gray, and she doesn't know if you have that one or that one or that one. She knows you have a few gray ones, so she's just not going to buy anything. So the nature of the thought process was, if you did multiple colors, then oh, Mom would remember, oh, he's definitely got that green one, oh, he doesn't have this purple one sold. That's the concept there, anyway. So yeah, would have been better to have Optimus in a few different colors, I guess. Haven't drawn this version for a minute. I didn't realize, I go back to this all the time too, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So the idea that I designed an Optimus that didn't have windows on the chest didn't seem like something I needed to have. Now looking back on it now, that's kind of maybe a little wild to even think that I didn't know that, but it's another thing that makes this Optimus a little unique, is he's got that grill on the front and the wheel shoulders, which gives him a different type of presence, which I think is pretty cool. But obviously trying to be honorific with the design around the color use, a little more yellow obviously in super mold, but that caused us grief with GPS syndrome, right? Wasn't Armada Universe the first instance of a white Prime Ultra Magnus? Well, technically the G1 Magnus would be the same thing, but if I'm hearing you right, Ninjatron, is that the one that came in like the round tube? How's my focus? Sorry, people. This is a rough and ready drawing here tonight, folks, so bear with me. I'm just winging it. Seeing how everybody likes the drawing overall with the discussion versus my face in my office. Figure we get a rest from the office. And you guys could see all my sloppy drawing process here. I am very loose with it. It all comes together in the end, but it is ugly maybe to watch at some points along the way here, so fair warning. Maybe a few different layers on here. I remember them, but I definitely remember the car robot's yellow Optimus. That thing was weird. Not a fan of that one. They started out of Dreamwave series War and Peace. We only have an hour. I am going to it. All right, what else can I say about this guy? I kind of forget who I worked with on it. I know Kunihiro-san did Megatron, so I don't think it was him. It might have been Yuki-san, but I could totally be misspeaking there too. Yeah, so what else can I say about this guy? His minicon was kind of my attempt to have a directional nod towards Bumblebee. Again, we talked about how Bumblebee was kind of a weird name at that time that we didn't totally have use of. And it also didn't quite fit. Kind of a weird name. If you just step out and don't think of it too hard from our knowledge of Transformers, because again, I grew up with Transformers, so I knew Bumblebee. But if you step out and kind of think about it, it's kind of a weird name for a robot, right? Especially a main character robot. That doesn't sound like a robot name. Doesn't, you know, just it doesn't sound tough in a way. We figured out how to get over it, but at this time when I was working on this stuff, that was not something we had figured out yet. So that's how we ended up with Sparkplug and names like that weren't as I don't know, quote unquote scary for people, if that makes sense. Yeah, I spent you know, I've said this where Armada became a bit of a research project because we were going into new territory. So one of the things with the challenge that Brian Goldner gave, you know, to bring all this stuff back was, well, what do we bring back and how do we do that and what do we even own? And you know, so it was a research project to figure out just what could we get back, what did we still have, what mattered, what didn't matter, any and all of these things. So it wasn't just, hey, we're gonna bring all this stuff back, and you know, I went to Japan. We had to figure out what that even meant, because no one had, you know, there's no archivist at Hasbro that was there to explain, you know, anything that you weren't there to see. So I was fortunate that I had been around the Beast Wars people, and I was kind of, you know, that I paid attention and I had some interest in that stuff and got to meet Yoke-san and the team along the way because of that. But you know, I could have easily just, you know, been on my way on those days and I'm working on Batman and whatever. But I could build on that early relationship and start a new one that grew fast because I, you know, had a respect and an understanding of what they did very quickly when I started working on this with them. But in the initial stages, you know, to figure out what that meant, you know, we're bringing Transformers back, you know, but so anyway, long story there with just about how we didn't use the Bumblebee name on that character, but interesting. And then Sparkplug, yeah, obviously had its classic name connotation there. So I picked out a lot of names just from my own memory of the brand. So didn't even, you know, really got the cherry pick there about what I thought was important or not. So I apologize to everybody if you've ever felt, what the hell are they thinking over there? Could just be me not knowing what I was doing. There you go. Oh, that's a good question. TF Farmers 2002. How, you know, how did I'll change the question and just say, how does Takara roll with the different complexities? And I would add toy features, I guess, to the product lines over the years. You know, each segment or era needs its own gimmicks, and I think Takara rolls with that idea. Like whatever's needed is what's needed. So sometimes you need complex Transformers, and sometimes you don't. It's not. There's no you know, universal standard of what makes a good Transformer per se, right? I'm sure we could get into that a little bit, but there's more to it than that. Yeah, you're right. But the Car Brothers also present a certain problem, right? Because they're not easy to transform. You know, if you don't have certain parts just right, they're not going to go lock back in. And if you're an enthusiast and a you know player of Transformers, user of Transformers, and um, those might be great examples of the magic that is this brand. I totally agree with that. However, they are also very complex, and a new kid into the brand who hands those to a parent to go, hey, help me with this. Um, it's not always a satisfying experience, and unfortunately, we often are talking about the wider audience of consumers than the more evolved one, right? So, unfortunately, things then get dumbed down. Is one way to say it, or at least made to a basic level, so that more people can jump on board and enjoy. So, overall, when they were doing a Japanese line for Japanese kids in a somewhat nostalgic manner, Car Robots was great. They knew it was for that market, and away they went. Right. Um, slightly different. So they could get away with that complexity, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in that situation. But that complexity doesn't mean that uh, that's always needed, right? It's not an arms race to make the most intricate puzzle robot. That could be done. Um, that could be done easily, but the name of the game is price and playability and ease for the consumer to enjoy the product. So that's kind of the thought process there. I mean, we can totally all wish that every Transformer was an intricate treasure box. That would be great, but unfortunately, they are mass consumer items most of the time. Hope I'm not making anybody dizzy, but so again, this is my form of chicken scratch drawing. Lesson to any kids out there, you can move your paper around, it's okay. Don't lock yourself in. Spin that around. So like I said, I almost bought Override this week. The reissue, she was on sale. I had her in my hand twice, 2 different boxes. But I didn't do it. Probably should have. I do not have a good yellow tonight. Yeah, well, my shift, honestly, the Japanese products were done, right? My responsibility on Car Robots, which later became, RID, was largely that of adaptation. That is to take sound effects, the original Japanese would yell "Super Fire Convoy." I changed that. So adding the sound, adding voices as needed, a lot of packaging, naming, stuff like that to make it adapted to the Western audience. So we had our package look, and naming conventions. We brought back these weird ghosty Autobot and Decepticon logos. For some reason, I wasn't part of that, but that was happening around me. And so those products were already done and in the can, so to speak, and that's why Takara had so much time to work on these Armada models and do all this kind of pre-work, because their work was largely done, right? They had done, Car War Bots was in the can, so they helped us do, we pulled those Beast Machines items in, things like that, but that's why Armada had all these extra models. Maybe you wouldn't necessarily know they were extra models, but we talk about all this whole like development time cycle here, where we definitely did a lot of investigation. You won't hear me talk about that on Cybertron, or Energon. We did it again for animated, where we had some extra time to get ahead of it. A little bit of time on, pretty much animated after that was about it. Yeah, I would do those sound effects in the office all the time just to get people going. It's like, what is that? The Japanese toys are really loud too. I don't know if people know that unless you're into the Japanese products themselves, but their speakers are very loud. So that stuff in the office was always a pain for people. Some people like it quiet, which is always crazy because, there's cocking Nerf weapons and special effects and lightsaber testing and Darth Vader mask testing. And, there's always a cart rolling by full of, stuff making noise. If you don't like noise, it was kind of a tricky place. Hey Claudio, how are you? How much true there is to the Energon Starscream being a homage to the G2 Cyberjets? I don't know about a homage, but it was in that zone. I did that one. So it's in that zone. I don't know if I'd call it a homage per se, but yeah, we definitely I was definitely vibing in that direction. Man, all my blue markers have died. What was I thinking? We'll see how long this lasts. Does it look like G2 smokescreen? I mean, it definitely does. But again, I gotta state the facts that Takara does not necessarily kind of reuse transformation processes. I mean, it kind of comes out naturally because there's only so many ways to efficiently do it. But so I think a lot of times what looks maybe like an intentional homage is actually just, there's only so many ways to make jets of a certain size articulate and fold in a compelling, tough looking way. So there's a little bit to that way. You can only throw those forms around so much and have them look cool before they start looking very awkward. So that's what I've noticed over the years when I've been asked about homages and, you know, if we're echoing anything, it's really just, there's only so many ways to bust out the forms. I don't know. Is this more interesting than watching my face hold up toys? Anybody? Oh yeah, the tooling's always new. That's another kind of thing I run into a lot, where I know they do it now lately with heads, and they've some planned tooling shifts and things, but in my era that just wasn't something we really did at all, if not just a few times. It just, it's too much work to make the original mold and then to kind of tank that, some of those parts for other parts. Now, as an example, you know, an Armada Starscream, Skywarp came out, and he had the different minicon and the different head, right? That one didn't get redecoed too often. It was later, and then they started wanting to reuse the Starscream parts, so Skywarp's parts got put off to the side, and to never be used again in a way, right? So when you make those extra parts, you run the risk of not being able to make that original toy again, or things, you know, it just changes the opportunities. Well, I figure if I just keep putting lines together, and eventually something comes out in the end. But yeah, I'm a toy designer. I realize over the years I'm a ideation guy. I like coming up with different stuff, so I'm not afraid to just, let's try this and draw this way. So thank you for saying so. I've been at it a while. Well, you guys also have to remember, I designed these characters, which, you know, no big whoop, but they kind of have my flow to them. That is to say, all this kind of, these angles here, you know, some of this kind of stuff here, they're very much how I flow my lines. So these guys would fall out easier for me that way. But I do a lot of live drawing at conventions, and in toy design, you know, you're always communicating with models or drawings, because you're trying to explain yourself or what you think could be done, or asking somebody to help you, you know, create something literally out of the thin air. So you're trying to communicate all the time by quick drawings. At least I did. You know, again, you could build models, so you can do a combination. Some people, when they did their little drawings, they were very technical, you know, like, this is how we're going to make this. My drawings were more like, you know, this is what it'll look like when we overtop the engineering stuff with it, you know. I was very engineering reliant, I will definitely say that. But that's the nature of not being an industrial designer there, right? So I got to partner with my engineers on a heavier level and work on those kind of products. So drawing fast, kind of a side hustle of the toy industry. At least it was, you know, well into the 2000s, and I started in '95. So yeah, is everybody cool with the drawings? You know, I don't know if I'll do this every week, but maybe every fourth week or something, I'll do a little bit better planning and different processes of a real drawing. It's kind of tricky tonight to try to draw and color and layout and everything all at once, but I could definitely go for some other approach, some other characters on other weeks. Because like I said, I'm doing these kind of commission things all the time, so this is what a real finished drawing looks like. Got Swindle in there. So this one won't quite end up looking like that, but maybe if I come in with the line work already done and we just color, or I ink, that could be fun too. But you know, you remind me of a situation that I found myself in, was that people, you know, I went to many bot cons and comic cons and, you know, magazine articles and different things, so people kind of knew me in a way publicly as a Transformer person, and someone that represented the brand and worked on the shows and worked with Takara and, you know, this, that, and the other. But, you know, it was fair to say that most people didn't think or didn't see me drawing, right? That wasn't part of the communication I was doing. And then even internally, you know, over the years, it was really strange to have been moved up, so to speak, through the company, that people didn't know that I had been a designer in some cases, didn't know I drew in some cases. I ran into that where they were, oh, you draw? Like, yeah, how did you think I got this position, you know, to mouth off on these topics, like creative person, and, you know, that's how I earned this position, like by being, you know, creative. I don't know what they necessarily thought, but it was definitely something I ran into both internally and externally on the Transformer brand, where people thought I was maybe just a marketer of some sort, or brand representative, PR, you know, licensing person, I don't know, but yeah, it's like a secret ninja weapon I could throw out, you know, while I was wearing my khakis. Booyah. So I'll keep working on this tomorrow as well, because I doubt I get it all the way done here. Wow, my goodness, it's already 11. Yeah, good question, Claudio. Was I ever interested in sequential storytelling? I did 2 issues of my own comic book in college. Comic called Gumbo. Good luck finding it. I do have copies for sale on the website, but archermonster.com. But so I did get into comic books, but like we're talking tonight, I was really into creating new. And if you're in comic books, you really got to follow, you know, kind of the house style, or at least back in those days you did. And I was never going to be that kind of artist. So I like comic books as a medium. I played with it. I thought it was cool. It definitely helped me get my foot in the door at Hasbro. But I never considered it as a full-time vocation. I've done little things, but that's my story on it. So that's actually how I got my foot in the door. It was I had self-published these comic books while in college, proving that I was kind of a storyteller and kind of obviously finished projects, made my own, paid for it, with my mother's help, of course. But you know, that was that was a lot of hustle back then, because this was pre-digital world of printing and everything else. So that was one of the, you know, unique things I brought to the table, so to speak, and how I got my foot in the door and the interview and ultimately hired. Ended up being kind of like my feeling like a senior project, I guess. Armada Prime might, I don't know if we designed them without a faceplate or not. That was definitely something I was doing. I think that's why the 20th anniversary Optimus, I think, has a face underneath. All right. So this was a test tonight. Let me know what you think of the drawing style versus the me talking head style. Again, I think this worked pretty well. I was able to use my other phone to read. I'm going to check this out tomorrow, see the detail and how well that came out. This is kind of where I'll get to tonight, though. Next week, I will not be having a live. Sorry. Although we may record a new long form next week. So that could be happening. So yeah, I'm unavailable next Friday. I apologize. I'm not going to switch the day or time again. My energy is only so much at these 10 o'clock hours. I don't want to do a later one. So hope everybody understands. You can find something else on next Friday, I guess. All right. I am going to take off here. So soon, anyway. Yeah, I did set up that other link. The problem with that was that I did that on my desktop, which lets me do a bunch more stuff than I've figured out how to do on my phone just yet. So I apologize on that one. So thank you, Diego. Thank you, T-Formers, Van Hope, Claudio, everybody else. Thanks for coming. yeah, just we'll see you in 2 weeks. Check out archermonster.com, subscribe and like and all that good stuff. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.